Hi, I'm Daz. I'm the producer of The Drift, and I just thought I'd give you an update on where we are with visual effects. It's been about sort of 4 weeks now since we've sort of started looking at the visual effects, and part of the process of that is to actually do the storyboard edits. And we're about, I must probably be about 2/3 of the way through. We've got a big sort of visual effects production weekend coming up in a couple of weeks, so the aim really is to try and get all the storyboard edits done by that sort of stage. In terms of the visual effects themselves, it's still a bit of a sort of a fluctuating environment, and for those who've not been involved with making visual effects on a sort of a large scale in a collaborative environment, it's a bit weird, but possibly a bit frustrating in some ways, because I think the assumption is that as soon as we've done the filming, we'll just start doing the visual effects, and it's not as simple as that, because the kind of reality is until the storyboard edits are actually finished, I haven't really seen all the footage. That sounds a bit weird, really, since I was directing and I was there when it's all being shot. But what I haven't seen is the all the scenes in context. So basically, when we shot one scene and added it to another scene or a sequence of events, until you sort of see them all together, you start to build up that sort of picture. So that's starting to happen now, but until that's kind of ready, it's very difficult to start sort of saying, well, what's going to happen in all these different effects. Now, the visual effects themselves are actually sort of broken down into different areas, and visual effects is a bit of a broad term, to be honest, because it's everything from the CGI of making the spaceships to fixing mistakes in the actual filming itself, like colour correction, grading, and stuff like that. Also, trying to make things look different, or look better, look more movie-like, creating that kind of film look. So, although we say visual effects, again, it's not just about sort of the sort of typical ones you might just expect, the ones you can obviously see. There are ones you aren't meant to see as well. But one thing that we have sort of tried to do, as much as we're sort of passing the footage around, the hard drives still going around the UK to all the different people, one thing we have tried to do is get people to start doing some tests. So, for example, there are things like grading and blue screening. Well, the footage is getting out there now, they're getting to the guys, so there's nothing now really to sort of stop them from doing some testing. And I think that's another issue with sort of visual effects, and perhaps with people that haven't been involved again before, or just generally with visual effects, is that when it comes to, if you look at principal photography and the set building, is that you do lots of takes during filming, you design different types of set, you go through several designs, and then even when you start building it, it kind of changes, either it gets bigger or certainly different. And I think there's sort of like a sort of a temptation that with visual effects, that you do it once and it all works, and it's right the first time, and that isn't necessarily the case. In fact, it's hardly ever the case. So some ways you get around that by having things like pre-visualization, which is like a low resolution, very few colours, just to give you a style of what the effect is going to look like. But at the end of the day, it does come down to the fact that every film is different, and every set is different, and the guys are going to have to basically just do some tests. So they're going to have to look at getting some footage from the film and then just turning it into a graded piece, perhaps getting some EX1 footage and the Canon footage, just put it together and just see, and make it look the same. Doesn't really matter what the two shots are. One of the good things now is that we do have some of the shots, some of the scenes now I've put on online on a private network for the guys to look at. They can now look at that stuff and then go back and say, well, we need footage for those particular scenes, so I want to do some tests. So hopefully over the next sort of 3 weeks or so, they can start doing that and start sort of testing that sort of footage that they're meant to be doing. Ben, what are you doing?
I need to get lights
What are you doing, Ben?
I don't want to look at it.
Pardon?
I don't want to look at it.
You don't want to look at it?
No.
Okay, you're going to go and play?
Yes.
Say bye-bye, camera.
Bye-bye, camera.
See you later, camera.
See you later, camera.
You want to lose a camera. Say lose a camera.
You lose a camera.
Say, you don't know the power of the dark side. Go on.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Say see you later.
See you later.
Alright, I'll forget. So yeah, they're going to have to start actually doing some of the testing themselves. And like I said, that can be sort of frustrating. You think, well, I'm doing something here, but it's not going to go in the movie. Well, okay, lots of things are being done that don't go in the movie, but they're all required to make the movie better. So yeah, that's good. Cracking through the edits at the moment. Sue's nearly finished now on the logging, and I've got loads of scenes to be cracking on with. It's all looking pretty good. Just that sort of frustrating period of just trying to give the guys, or tell the guys what needs to be done, and trying to make sure they understand that it's still valuable stuff. Because they're going to do it anyway, even if they don't do anything now, even if they come to start doing the grading and stuff, they'll still have to do tests. So they might as well do it now, while there's not much else they can be getting on with. And one last sort of thing is we're starting to identify now, the additional types of effects that we want to put in. So I've come up with some wacky, wild ideas about how we can make the cockpit look better, how we can augment some of the sort of atmosphere inside the drift, other little bits and bobs like that as well. So that's all come from watching the storyboard edits. So this is what I'm saying about until you see the scene cut, even at a very rough stage, even without the dialogue. That's the best time. Then it automatically just sort of fits into place in your head. Oh well, obviously we need that sorting out. And it's until you get to that stage you can't really give that direction. So there's plenty of stuff for the guys to get on with. Still to build all the CGI ships as well for the Drift 2. So it's all looking pretty good. And I think the next thing for us will be the big test at the first sort of post-production weekend to see how things go there. We'll see what happens.